Welcome back to this second very special episode of Hardy's Books.
Continuing our Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell read-along. So we're now at the end of Chapter 9, Lady Pole. And Laura, as you've read it for the first time, why don't you give us a little overview of some of the things that happened in the last few chapters?
So Mr. Norrell has been visited by a Mr. Drawlight, who is a really fabulous character. I love Drawlight. I want to be his friend. He sounds really fun. And Drawlight is like a professional socialite.
Yes.
Basically. I think he's fantastic. I really like Drawlight a lot. And Drawlight has made him the toast of the town, has taken him around all the fashionable parties, and Norrell has been characteristically unenthused the whole way around. And he's met Lascelles, who is another professional socialite, but bye then, Fang.
Yeah, I mean, they spend a lot of time socialising in this part of the book. I mean, I think as generally, like, this is the part of the book where Mr. Norrell is getting established.
Yeah.
And he's discovering the scene in London. And, of course, as I said in the previous video, that can start a little bit slow, but you didn't find that, did you?
I didn't find it. I found it riveting. So he eventually, Mr. Norrell decides that he's had quite enough of all these vacuous people, and he wants to go to the top. So off he goes to try and visit the government in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars.
As you do.
And it turns out he has a tangential relation to
Sir Walter Pole.
Sir Walter Pole, who is the Minister of War, and manages to get a tete-a-tete with Sir Walter Pole, who rebuffs him quite rudely, I thought. And his future mother-in-law, Mrs. Winterbourne, who is the most irritating character I think I've ever encountered. I was messaging Ross like, this woman needs to shut up, doesn't she? And also his fiancée, Miss Winterbourne, who was very sick. And it transpires over the coming chapters that Miss Winterbourne sadly passes. She leaves this plane and passes to the other side. She dies. And Mr. Norrell cannot stand the thought of this poor man, Sir Walter Pole, being bereft of his inheritance.
Yes, I would say yes. Perhaps Mr. Norrell is being somewhat guided by Drawlight and the cells in this. Towards what ends up happening in the last chapter,
which is necromancy.
Yes.
So Norrell goes off to where is it that they live? Brunswick Square or something like that.
One of the places in London.
Yeah, and he does some magic and is visited by a fairy.
The gentleman with the thistledown hair.
I had to Google what thistledown was. I don't know about you. I didn't know what thistledown was.
But now you've seen it.
Yeah, now
that's in your brain now.
It's forever etched on my retina.
Yeah.
So yeah, the gentleman with the thistledown hair comes along, and he makes a deal with the gentleman with the thistledown hair to guide Miss Winterbourne.
I think it's either Bourne or Town. But
Wintertown.
I read it like a month ago, so I can't remember. But yes.
Yeah, to guide the young lady back.
Yes.
But in payment, he takes her ring finger from her hand and says that he wants half of her life. And Norrell, for some reason, feels entitled to bargain with the life of a woman who not only could not consent to have her life bargained with, but was literally dead.
Yeah, so you get a bit of a more of an idea of Mr. Norrell's moral framework here.
Yes.
Yes, and it has been preempted, perhaps forewarned in the footnotes about the various exploits of fairies. So one can perhaps surmise that the deal that he has made with the gentleman with the thistledown hair may not be
in the young lady's best interest.
Lady Pole's best. Well, yes, she's not Lady Pole just yet, but she will be. Anyway, Lady Pole's best interest. This chapter, chapter 9, I'm going to tell you now, is probably the most important chapter of the book, because most of what will happen in the book is going to spin out from this chapter.
Right.
In many different ways. And I'm not going to tell you which ways they are, but this is a very important point of the book.
The young lady has come back.
Yeah.
Norrell has gone off with Sir Walter Pole to plan against the French. Jonathan Strange has been mentioned.
In passing.
Who is the narrator? This was a question raised by one of the book club members,
Yeah.
Gerald.
Thank you, sir. It is not ever really touched upon. The narrator is seemingly an author of this account, and they aren't present actually in the story.
But they do refer to themselves in the first person. They say I.
Yes, because they're opinionated.
Yeah.
But yes, they are not a character that comes into the narrative.
Okay.
But yes, you've now experienced some amazing characters. I love your views on Drawlight.
I liked him.
That is brilliant.
I really like him. What a precocious little man. I want to be his friend.
Yeah.
I want to get a pint with him. What legend.
Even though, where is it? They say he lives in a little hovel somewhere.
Yeah.
Somehow he's been in all these posh circles.
I love it.
Yeah. What do you expect to happen next?
What do I expect to happen? I don't know. I know Jonathan Strange is Mr. Norrell's pupil. That was revealed in passing.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point he must take an apprentice or a pupil of some description. I'm assuming that there is some kind of magic is used against Napoleon. So there'll be some more exploration of that. Lady Pole is not going to come out of this unscathed.
I think those are all fairly interesting predictions.
In chapter 9, the last chapter that I've just read, she was vivacious, she was full of life, she was going for walks, and she seemed like more alive than she ever had been. But it's whether that's going to like continue and she's just going to go mad or... What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's so fun knowing what happens.
Waiting for another woman.
Yeah.
That doesn't die or isn't a complete pain in the arse.
I will say this book isn't full of them, which is sad. It's kind of quite a man-centered narrative.
It's a sausage fest.
It is a bit of a sausage fest, and at various points, some of the main characters come to criticise the state of English magic in that sense. But I'll leave that to later. If you have read this book before, you may have noticed a small piece of foreshadowing in the scene where Lady Pole is introduced regarding the paintings on the wall.
Oh yeah, all the Caravaggios.
Yeah, so I'm just going to leave that with people who have read the book before.
Do they...
So Laura has just guessed accurately one of the things that happens. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you at the end of the next section. And please do continue to join in on Fable. We're having a great time.
Yeah, and again, thanks so much for joining in. It's been a blast. I'm loving getting to know you all. I'm loving chatting about the book. It's really nice to read alongside people and have people to discuss what I'm reading with. Yeah, just thanks so much, guys. You're the best. Love you all.